How's it going today?
All good, all fine. Here in LEAP with you.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. We're just hanging out at LEAP. How would you describe LEAP?
Well, it's a very big event. I think it's the chance, the opportunity that Saudi Arabia has to show the world that they are making great efforts and great progression towards becoming a little bit more data-driven and maybe more advanced. And I think it's a very good opportunity for us, technologists, people in data, to meet and maybe to have opportunities to improve networking.
Yeah. I think there's, 170,000 people in it at this conference, or
maybe
more? Yeah, it's pretty big. So
it's pretty big. I mean, I was told that it was like about 3-4 times AWS reInvent, but I'm not sure whether it's true.
Well,
it's quite big.
Yeah, but reInvent's only how many people do you think it is? 40,000 there? Yeah. So I could see it being about 4 times bigger than that. And reInvent's also concentrated in small pockets in Vegas, but this is a bit different. For the audience, we're hanging out in a small sector called Deep Fest, which I guess is, the tech and AI portion of the event. But anyway, good to meet you, man. You live in Riyadh. I know we've been trying to catch up. So
likewise.
Yeah, for people who don't know who you are, do you want to give a quick intro?
Sure. I don't know. I mean, how to describe myself is my name is Angel Narciso, not Angel, by the way. I'm Spanish. I've been in the industry for about 17 years. I'm initially economist, but maybe my professional career, brought me through many positions. That's why I ended being more in management and on data architecture and data strategy. Currently, I'm director of data analytics and AI in SID, which is an e-commerce company in the region. And just in a brief, I'm a person that's very interested in everything that has to do with tech, with AI, data in general. And I'm a little bit nerdy. I'm passionate about this.
Oh no, you're nerdy. I mean, we met on LinkedIn, and I see your posts, and you're the definition of nerdy. So, but in a good way, right?
Absolutely.
Not like me. So, I'm going to talk about architecture, modeling. I don't care what order we start in, but what are your thoughts? Why are you interested in these two topics? Of all the topics, I mean, you've been in the game for a bit. Data modeling and architecture have also been around for a while. These seem like pretty, on the surface, boring topics. Why are you a nerd that likes boring stuff like this?
No, I don't think it's boring. Actually, for me, they are the foundations for everything that's good in data. No, I believe in a principle called GIGO, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very important to set very good foundations. It doesn't matter whether you want to provide vanilla reports or you want to maybe dig into more sophisticated models. So now I think data modeling has a rebirth, and architecture has a new sense, because we are not speaking about the same terms that we were using if we were in the 90s or in the early 2000s, in which these concepts, they were more focused on maybe not data warehousing, but more databases. Now we are speaking about a new entire world that includes as well processing, that may include as well AI, may include data ops as a whole, and you have to consider all these pieces. And regarding modeling, I think we are in a very good moment, because it's not like the old setup in which we were comparing OLTP versus OLAP. Now we have new paradigms, and it's something to take into account if you are trying to design your strategy in data to deliver the best results. Because now it's not very easy. What are you doing? Are you streaming data? Are you using data mainly for providing, some services? Or in the other hand, what you are doing is processing this data just to make something a little bit more sophisticated. Depending on your choices, you should work on architecture in a different way. So for me...
What are some of those different ways, though, right? I mean, let me rephrase this a different way. What are some of the, the old ways of thinking or doing stuff that you feel are we could probably move on from?
Yeah, well, I think traditionally, when we were speaking about, this is what I told you, when we were speaking about architecture, we were very framed about technical components, But now, for instance, when you try to model the last mile of the delivery or the delivery layer of data, you must incorporate people like analysts. No, we have a whole new field called analytics engineering.
Yeah.
For which actually you need to count with people that understand the data as a whole, that may incorporate a rich perspective that lies on taxonomies and maybe lies more on metadata, just to see how you classify your different assets, and it will condition the way engineers they model data as well from a more physical or logical perspective. So I think that we had in the past something like that that's maybe more, I won't say rusty, but doesn't fit into new conventions, and something like what I'm describing right now, that maybe will be the way to go if you want to become a little bit more data-driven, or if you want to make sure that you can achieve your goals in terms of data reporting AI, and at the same time you can be efficient.
Yep. That's interesting. So, I mean, if you contrast analytics engineer with, I guess, what used to be maybe a BI engineer, how would you make that distinction?
Yeah.
You're smiling and you're kind of like, okay, let me tell you about this.
That's true. I think sometimes, we tend to revamp all naming conventions. It's like data science, no? I remember a couple of days ago in LinkedIn, there was a discussion about what data science was, no? And you joined that discussion, or at least you put a comment. And it's
what was my comment? I think it was like, WTF is even data science.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So because, I mean, if you ask me what data science is, I could tell you, well, it's statistics on steroids, no? It's no more than statistics. What happens with the term analytics engineer, and why I think is legit in this case? Because for me, at least, BI is not just reporting. For me, BI is the intersection between operations, decision-making, and data. So when we are speaking about BI or BI engineering, we should consider all these elements, essentially about decision-making, this new trend that actually, is operations research, but is decision science, okay, and how you collect data insights, and then how you make something about, actionable insights, how you make decisions.
Yeah.
For me, the analytics engineers, they are more about data engineers, but they are in charge of the last mile. How I model data marts, how I model data cubes, how maybe I nurture with metadata my data assets, just to be prepared to make something that delivers value to the company or to the organization. Especially if you put this in contrast with the traditional role of a data engineer. So it's not mambo jumbo, it's more something I would say is legit.
Yeah, I think it's a good distinction between it, and it seems like I'm kind of interested to see where this goes to, especially as analytics becomes more customer-facing. It seems like, historically, BI has been a very internal-facing role, but that's changing quickly. You got embedded analytics, you got data-powered apps, and I think that the lines are being blurred more and more. Even BI is one of these things where it feels like that function, it used to, again, historically be internal reports, internal dashboards. Now it's like, well, I need to provide reports to my customers. That used to be FTP drops of Excel files way back in the day, or some janky crap like that, or sharing a SharePoint folder. Now it's,
Don't remind me SharePoint. This
Well, let's talk about it the rest of the podcast. I'm kidding. Yeah, but that's the world that used to exist, and I guess still does for a lot of companies, right? It isn't going away, but
it's not old. It's not even old. If you think about Excel, you think about some technologies that I would qualify as rusty or maybe old. You could go to a lot of companies that are operating right now, and you will find these components right now. So it's of course a transition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is it about architecture, though, right? I think this is one of these elusive terms, architecture. If you were to ask like 100 architects what architecture is, you probably get like, 110 different answers. And it's one of these elusive topics that I think it's sort of like a data model, right? Like it exists whether you understand it or not, or whether you're focused on it or not. Like architecture, the absence of intentionally focusing on architecture is still an architecture. It's just a kind of a crappy one, but it's still there.
It's complicated. Because when you envision architecture, at least under my view, you're not just focusing on data modeling. It should be something more iterative, because now data touches many topics.
Yeah.
For instance, the way I structure my departments, or the departments I run, is mainly based on 5 pillars. The first one has to do with data governance, data management, data operations. And for me, architecture makes part of that. I mean, in which way you structure the processes you are running, not only internally, but externally. So this is architecture as well. Think about when we are, I don't know, a place like this. I mean, it's composed, or when you are designing different pieces, different spaces, you design them as well according to the usage they will have. Okay, so this is one part. Another part has to do with business analytics. Another part has to do with AI, data science, but not at an industrial level. And then the last two parts, they have to do with data engineering and with data products. Joining all these 5 dimensions for me is what data architecture means right now. Under my view as well, the ultimate architect or data architect for a company should be the chief data officer. It's no more like a person, no, because back in 10 years ago, a data architect was sort of a senior data engineer that was more focused on building data models at a very, between the logical and the physical layer, okay? Now for me it's something more holistic that should consider absolutely everything, especially because now we have possibilities in data that you didn't have some years ago, no?
Yeah.
I mean, back in time, even when we were stepping into what now is being called, and now supposedly is dead, the modern data stack, you were speaking about data sources, a data warehouse, and then a serving layer, delivery layer. But now, depending on which uses you have for your data, you may manage maybe one data warehouse, a data lake house, maybe you may manage more specialized databases, and then which are the processes that you will foster for machine learning AI operations. How they will shape the way you are modeling your data is tricky. So this is more or less, for me, a good example for data architecture.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It seems a lot more fluid too. I think as I described it in the book, it was there's a lot of trade-offs and a lot of, I mean, good architecture is one of these things where, we put good in quotes, but the ideal should definitely be to allow yourself to make reversible decisions as much as possible, just given the fact that a lot of things do change. But it should always be with the expectation of satisfying, obviously some sort of organizational outcome, right?
But that's the real, for me, the real challenge. Because it's like when you are defining your data strategy, usually you lie, or you should be aligned with the business strategy. The issue is, do businesses have strategies at all? Do businesses have architectures at all for... No.
Sorry, I'm trying to take his coffee.
So that's a problem. If you don't have any operations architecture, you don't have any IT architecture, and you don't have, at the same time, any strategy that's supporting you or that can allow you to support it, it's very difficult for you to maybe envision something that won't have any trade-offs. Aside from, of course, some choices, I don't know, speaking about modeling, no? When you should choose a highly normalized model versus a highly denormalized model, you have trade-offs as well. When you should serve data, when you should understand your data. I'm a huge fan of highly normalized models, all right? But I understand that sometimes, in some cases, they are not...
So let me ask you this, why are you a fan of highly normalized models?
Because for me, coming back to Gigo, garbage in, garbage out, I prioritize consistency and reliability over sometimes speed. And even if I need the speed, I prefer to scale horizontally something to make maybe. Suppose you have some sort of, of course you know, what the medallion architecture is. This is being fostered by Databricks, no? But by some sort of a standard. Aside from the golden layer, you may foster another layer that is more focused on data marts, or maybe doing the reports. But if you were doing the reports straight on the golden layer, I prefer to have something that's pure, normalized, and then if I need to run a query, or if I need to deliver data at some pace, I prefer to scale it horizontally rather than losing, or I don't know, being wrong on certain area. But it depends. For financial data, I could be more conservative. Maybe for something that doesn't require a lot of, I won't say data quality, but it's not critical for the business, maybe I could be a little bit more relaxed. No, it depends.
I mean, that was the original vision of the data warehouse, as Bill Inman laid it out too, was the warehouse was I think it was 3NF, right? So the warehouse itself, then the data marts, you could serve it however you want. I mean, you could use Kimball, you could use, I don't know, however you want to do it, but he felt like that at least preserved a lot of the structural integrity of your data as well, right? So you don't have side effects like dependencies, and all that kind of stuff. And this is one of the things too where it's like the word denormalization is thrown out a lot in the data modeling circles, but in order to denormalize, you first have to start from a normalized form to deconstruct it. I think this is a point that's lost in a lot of people. It's like, oh, we'll just denormalize. Like one big table, for example, right? Like everyone says that's denormalized. I can make a very strong argument it's actually unnormalized. You know, what you did, there was nothing to begin with. You just sort of took data and threw it into, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, one big table. Actually, I had this acronym the other day called...
it's called activity schema.
Okay. Oh, don't even get me started. I had this acronym the other day when I was at Skid up in Verbier. It was a WTF, I think wide, full, and tall. So for the same thing as one
I don't know. I'm being ironic because I disallow that name.
Which one? One big table or
activity schema? Yeah. I don't know. It's one big table. You know, it existed since, I don't know, early 2000s. I don't know. Coming back to why we are putting new names into the stuff that already existed, no?
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely felt that way when I looked at some of the stuff that Narrator was doing with the activity schema. I was like, this is, it's. I mean, I get it, but it didn't seem like it was that like groundbreaking of an idea. It's like it's kind of what you've been doing with one big table for a while.
For me, the issue is that first, data storage costs will be depending on your scale, no? But if you are moving terabytes, you go one big table. I mean, will you repeat the same column all the time? You will lose a lot of properties. That for me, something that goes more into dimensional modeling, can offer you. Dimensional as a broad. I'm not referring into Kimball exactly. Could be, Snowflake. Could be now it's called space modeling when you are super denormalizing, making data vault. It doesn't matter. No, the concept I think is very clear.
Yeah.
In any case, the main enemy, and this is a position I defend a lot, is that there is no way you can do proper data modeling or you can have proper data governance if you don't have process governance. Because most times, and this is absolutely my experience, but it was a experience that repeat in many times in my professional career, is that you don't have any documentation about processes. Therefore, you cannot design a proper conceptual model, and from that very point, first, you cannot design any physical logical model, and at the same time, you cannot put any controls over data quality. Because, data can change, the context may change, even, the shape, the data didn't change, and you won't be able to detect, even if you foster data contracts, no? They are the new trend, cool. Okay, but before data contracts, you must have something like process contracts.
That just allows you to catch problems when they occur, but it didn't address the root cause of it either, right? So again, you're talking about any upstream changes. A data contract might catch that, but you still didn't address why it happened.
Sure.
Right, so you're talking business process changes too. I mean, Sol and I were riffing on this the other day in Switzerland, actually, sitting right next to us. She's got some good points. But I think one of the good points is, depending where you are, things change quite rapidly, right? And so, is your data model able to keep up? And so there's sort of this interesting divide right now too between the conceptual model and the physical model. And I think all too often, what I see now is things just go straight to. You conceptually model whether you know it or not. I mean, you have an idea of what's happening in the business. You sort of translate that into something.
It's fundamental. If you miss that, for me, the problem or the main issue that you are facing when you are, or you have the privilege to be a CDO, is not about data itself.
She's laughing at you.
No, it is about, because this is like a triangle, okay? So the base of the triangle is how you process your data, how you treat your data. That's cool. It's under you. I mean, no issues. For me, two main issues are how you control how data is being generated or how data is being manipulated. This is sometimes, out of your scope, or you may have, a lot of culture resistance because it's under, many other departments. And lately, and this is for me the elephant in the room, is not being able to have any control about analysts within companies.
What do you mean?
I mean that it doesn't matter whether you have a Ferrari if you don't know how to drive it. So it's not the first time that, okay, you got control over data sources. You got control over
but
how
what's a Ferrari in this case?
The Ferrari could be the realization of a data platform that's finally, delivering you data in the best shape possible. Suppose that you're living in an ideal world.
You have a nice data platform.
Huh?
You have a nice data platform there.
Yeah. Look, I'll put you an example, okay?
Yeah.
I won't mention the company, but
or please do, whatever.
No way. But I mean, many years ago, I was working in a churn model, okay, for a company. So we will try to estimate how likely our customers, they were SMB customers in a non-contractual scenario, how likely, they were to churn, to, leave the company, because, I mean, they weren't working with us with contracts, no? They could, make a purchase one day, another day, but maybe they could leave at any moment, no? So we were modeling a very naive Pareto MBD model, okay, based on RFM, that was giving us some probabilities about a customer churning, all right? So in which moment, what's the threshold in which you reach a customer to say, look, we think that you will leave, and in which moment you start the retention process? You may think about, okay, a more technical approach. That was the approach I thought that was the right one, which is, having an optimization model, like something value at risk, calculating sorry, my broken in English, calculating the expectation, okay, of that realization. So, okay, at 45%, 30% of probability, you know that the expectation of the result of the model was under zero, or was less than $0. All right. What the company did, they did something called tabula rasa. Okay, by 70% probability of any person to churn, we will address that customer. Okay. So it's a good example of either you have a good model or a model that was performing very well. If you don't know how to handle it, you have nothing. Yeah. If you have all the numbers, if you don't know how to build KPIs, if you don't know how to write the beast, you have nothing. So you could have the best data platform, you could have the best professionals maybe behind, but if you know how to handle the numbers, handle the data, there is nothing to do. And this is, what I'm talking about.
I see this a lot too. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because what I see often is there's a big investment in, we'll just call them modern cloud data platforms. But the data sizes are quite small. They go in there, or the analysis done on the data, the subset of the data you're querying is quite small. So I don't know that you need something that's that powerful. And the other thing is the type of analysis being done, you could just do in Excel. So at which point I'm like, if it can fit in an Excel sheet and you can do the same stuff in Excel, then why don't you just use Excel? Like, why do you need this data stack to do all this fancy shit?
I think in this case, scalability is key. Even if you can do in Excel, suppose that, I had 2 companies in the past.
Yeah.
And my companies die of success. What is this? In the very moment in which I could scale up, I didn't have the resources.
Yeah.
So suppose you have your infrastructure based on Excel. And you have, your sales department, marketing, is running excellent campaigns, and then, your sales are boosting. Imagine that at that very moment, you cannot analyze the data you have because you were relying on Excel. So from, 500,000 rows, you go into 20 million. It's a problem.
I remember I helped grow a company very fundamentally. It was, we started at 70 million when I started, and we grew to $1 billion in revenue in like 5 years. I was running that on Excel, mostly in Excel. I think back then you had a 65,000 row limit.
Sure. So,
but the point is, like, I was able to make do with the tools I had. But I see, like, data teams doing stuff. I guess my whole point is, like, something that's far less sophisticated. They'll never outgrow the capacity that they have. right? But when I look at the types of stuff they're doing, I'm like, you're doing linear regression. Like this isn't.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. But under my view, it costs the same to do well than doing wrong.
Yeah.
So now, if you have at least 2 or 1 technical person working on data, why going into technologies like that? I mean, I got your point, but I think now, for instance, you can have something like Metabase, Superset, plus DuckDB, and then working on Parquet files, even without Iceberg, okay?
Oh yeah.
And you have something that you can scale up, pretty well. You can define some sort of semantic layer to not reinvent the wheel, no? Because in the end, and this is something I see very often, many companies try to redefine KPIs that they are like 50 years old. Why are you doing that? Just, act, operate, the way it's supposed to be, and with that you will have the basic ingredients just to scale up your company, and maybe, as well make it a little bit more variable, no? I mean, to expand it, no? Because sometimes it's not about, scaling up the components, but maybe making them a little bit more diverse, no? Because you are adding up more pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting thought. I'm kind of curious to see what happens to these some of the technologies you mentioned. I call them like micro-stack architectures. So basically, your DuckDBs, your polars, stuff you could just run on a laptop. It's actually super powerful. I could run it on a Raspberry Pi as a joke, but not really if I wanted something that I could have people go into, or log into and just use it there. But the whole point is like there's so much. There's a lot of cool technologies out there where you could take advantage of things at a fraction of the price. I was even reading like Snowflake. They were saying that they're going to lose like I think 6% of revenue. I mean, don't quote me on this, but do because people are going to move to Iceberg. So it's like that's storage cost. Could be. But
this is another good discussion, no? Because speaking about prices, revenue, now with something like what you mentioned. Let's say Polars, Upon Arrow, DuckDB, or something like this. I don't know. You can rent, BPS, $30 a month, and you can have a very good stack. The problem now is being able to distinguish. I won't say the crap from what's good, but a lot of vendors, they are still relying, on old methods, maybe, or trying to convince laymen that digging in.
Sorry, door opening over there.
Stepping into big data is too complicated or is too expensive, while it's not. First, because the very notion of big data, I think, has evolved over time.
Yeah.
30 years ago, big data was maybe what we are, calling now something that Excel can handle, 1 million rows, no? It was super expensive. Data warehousing was super expensive, but right now it's super cheap. I mean, you don't need to invest a lot. And that's for me, the main difference. I was engaging a few days ago into another discussion, and, I remember that SQL Server, the licenses, they are still worth $20,000, no? For something that could be replaced, not by a fraction. It's like, I think that with $20 or even $200, you can get a way better stack with way better functionalities and something that I would say, is even faster and more portable. So, I don't know.
I'm just looking at the MacBook Air I'm using right now to record this, and it's like, what, 8 cores, 4 performance, 4 efficiencies. It's an M2 chip.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then like 10 GPU cores, right? It's not bad. I mean, that hardware back in the day, and now we get terabyte storage.
It's amazing. Oh my God.
It's pretty sick, right? And it's.
I don't know what was your first computer, but mine was 486.
Yeah, I had one
16
of those
megabytes of RAM, and we were doing amazing things. It's not about the brush, but the painter.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and it is interesting. I feel like sort of the. So you brought up the modern data stack is dead. Article that Tristan.
I don't agree.
You don't read it yet?
No. Okay. First, what the heck? Excuse my French.
Yeah, it's fine.
The modern stack is, for me, is another buzzword coming from maybe marketing departments with the intention of selling you something that look very fancy.
Yeah.
Why? Because look, even myself, when I graduate, first I was econometrician, then a statistician, then data analyst, then data scientist, and one day they told me that doing the same, I was a specialist in AI. all doing the same. You got me? So.
Well, nothing changed. You just got different titles. Okay.
Doing exactly.
Well,
but it's like
congratulations. That's what everyone strives for.
The job title, got better and better, no? And I was doing exactly the same. So my point here is this: the data stack has been evolved constantly over the time, adding components, deprecating others. If we were having this discussion like 10 years ago, we were probably speaking about how revolutionary Redshift is and about the Hadoop ecosystem. Now,
that was a discussion at the time, yeah.
Absolutely. The point is that the concept nowadays, or maybe the concept that existed 10 years ago, wasn't deprecated like, oh, it's dead. No, some elements, have been replaced gradually. So MapReduce was replaced, by, now it's Trino, it was Presto to Trino.
Spark as well,
Spark,
right?
exactly.
Spark was a big one that took over. But yeah, I mean, it was funny this morning, I was actually reading this, some benchmark. Somebody did the billion row challenge. So it's crunching a billion rows on their laptop. I think it's a 32 gig file, but it was funny just because somebody took a MapReduce approach to it, right? So
yeah, but
mapping the algorithm. I was like, okay, people sort of take that approach. It's not the buzzword you use anymore.
There is no silver bullet. It depends entirely on that kind of data you are managing, the kind of I don't know. Some reports, for instance, going into something very simple, not very complicated. Could be very complex at a query level. No, so maybe a stack that works for some companies won't work for you. My point, or the point I want to illustrate, is that it was evolving over the time. So it's not alive or dead. Now, a meta store like Hive.
Yeah.
Is anyone using Hive plus Spark? No. Now it's more about Iceberg or Delta Lake plus TrinoDB or plus any other query engine. But the notion is exactly the same. Yeah. Even the terms data lake, data warehouse, data lake house, everything is data warehouse, because data warehousing is a set of principles. No. Mm-hmm. So as a professional, I would I won't engage into this kind of discussions, not because they are not interesting, but most because they are not using the right terms. Okay, under my point of view, absolutely.
Yeah. What terms would you use?
I don't know. Data platforms, data stack. But it's true. I had a discussion, with one of the top executives in my company yesterday, and I was telling him, look, we must foster a customer data platform, which is another term that could be quite arguable, But my point is that we need to foster a set of components like event collector, something like a snowplow, a data warehouse, blah, blah, blah. And you will freak out if I tell you that the main objection that the company, had about that term was exactly the term, because it wasn't that marketable.
With the CDP, they had a
exactly,
issue with
because CDP doesn't sound very good.
Did you use a composable CDP?
I don't know if
that's a buzzword too, by the way.
If I sold it as I don't know,
sorry, open the door again. So.
Digital platform or AI customer, could be a different thing. But in the end, things are what they are.
It's all the same stuff. Yeah, I mean, the thing I did like about the article that Tristan wrote, I didn't think he said the terms, it achieved its usefulness, I suppose, as a marketing term, right? And I think he and a few other people, a few of the vendors did definitely, but they're very intentional about using modern data stack as a way to push what they were trying to do, which at the time was, I could argue, interesting at least, cloud-based tooling for analytics.
Yeah, but I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If modern data stack is dead, what's replacing the NDS? That's my question, because
I don't know. I mean, his whole thing is just you all get back to the same thing you're doing all along, which is analytics, right? So I mean, just a way of enabling analytics in the cloud with a modular SaaS-based system, right? So, but I don't know, what comes next. I mean, there's a lot of things that come next. You could say it's the AI data stack or some other hokey marketing term. I think I have a few ideas on where this is going and some observations. Whatever you call the modern data stack, the infrastructure itself will keep growing, cloud-based. I don't think anyone wants to intentionally go back to the good old days. I say that jokingly. When you're purchasing, on-prem licenses and paying by number of cores on your box and that kind of stuff. I don't think you're going back to those days. And when you try and get out of your contract, you're going to get kneecapped by a bunch of lawyers. Like,
but
that ain't happening. Right. I think going forward, though, I mean, we did talk about DuckDB, polars. I think that kind of given this age of austerity that we're in right now in data, I think you're going to see a lot more of that kind of stuff. Where
absolutely.
There's so many good tools out there you can run on your laptop. And the whole point of me bringing up my specs on my laptop is the laptops are awesome. I mean, those are great machines.
It is.
The whole crux is how do you bring a common engineering framework to all your analytics, your data engineers and data scientists if all running locally. But I think that's probably the next wave is. Because I mean, the recognition is, and you start to see this in cloud repatriation arguments too. It's like the cloud's awesome, except it's expensive if you don't know what you're doing, or B, you just have workloads that are too dang expensive.
But that's a very good point, because for me, for instance, what's the main advantage of using something like DuckDB? If your architecture at a data engineering level lies on a data lake or a data lake house, you can leverage this magnificent piece of technology, because now, I mean, what's the power of this? You have an M3, M2, or...
It's an M2, yeah.
Whatever, no, it's super powerful.
It's more than enough.
So you don't have to rely on computing resources that they are in the cloud, and they are, by the way, they could be less expensive, but they are still super expensive. And this is a problem, because here we have a phone, probably this phone is like 100 times more powerful, maybe even more than the computer that brought us to the moon. Mm-hmm. You got me? So this for me, the key difference. Having a transition from more centralized components. First was decoupling computing from storage. Now maybe is decoupling it from cloud environments to maybe personal ones.
Yep. Well, it's interesting too. I mean, I had this, this idea ages ago that it would be interesting to build a decentralized cloud just off of the hardware on people's phones and computers. You get remunerated back for whatever you spent, but it's, I don't know, never.
Well, it's a good business idea, huh?
I mean, I think it would still, if you could just kind of wall off a section of your hardware, right? I mean, there's so much. How much latent compute do you have? Are you using a phone right now? Right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like.
Yeah. These are beasts. This is something funny, because you have, I don't know, the latest iPhone, no? Or finally, I don't know how are you using your phone, but if you're not playing games, at least me, it's like LinkedIn, social media in general. I mean, very lightweight activities. So why do you need all that power? No, maybe fostering something in the same way. People mining coins, and I don't want to, establish, but.
We're at LEAP. There's probably somebody here mining coins.
There was a great project, I think it's still alive, called SETI from...
Oh yeah, I remember SETI. I love SETI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why not, no? I mean, you sell your computational units, whatever, and if you... Because this is another challenge, and sometimes overlooked, is private computing. I mean, how you manage to keep your data truly private, truly anonymous, and truly encrypted. And these terms, they are not interchangeable, but they are related, while you can compute them. And it's something I think will be, I won't say the next revolution because it's exaggerated, but in the same way data modeling got, a new moment, no? And now it's like it's a rebirth. I think privacy computing will do the same, especially given the new regulations that they are emerging all over the world. Even here in Saudi Arabia, we have the new Saudi Data Protection Law.
Oh wow!
Okay, which is like pretty similar to the GDPR, but one thing is understanding the law. Another thing is applying it and embedding it into a data architecture. Yeah. How you can make sure that actually your data is truly anonymous.
Yeah.
I mean, are we speaking about K-anonymity, L-diversity, things like this that maybe may not be relevant, okay, but actually they are. And this is a challenge. That's why, when we were speaking about architecture, I include all these side elements, because in the end, it's not about data model, it's about, the whole. And this introduces a level of complexity that's way beyond that what we've seen until now.
Mm-hmm. No, but you're going to see a confluence of all this stuff, right? Data privacy is going to be big, precisely because AI is also getting big, right? And so how much of that data, I mean, it's going to be used, but how much do you want it leaked? Usage and leakage are kind of two different subjects, right? So you can use my data, but you can't extract all the personal information, hopefully. That's an interesting one. I mean, but I think the governments are forcing the issue. I mean, the EU AI Act, what does it come up for? It's a final vote on that soon, I think.
It's for me a controversial discussion,
tell me more.
debate. Actually, I don't support. Any kind of regulations that are imposed about data privacy. I prefer more, moving more private frameworks, or another kind of application. Either because the governments they don't achieve, or they have they are late. Either because sometimes for a small company, we were speaking now about the advantages of having something like DuckDB, a data lake, how cheap it could be. Introducing that kind of mandatory regulations, maybe the difference between being able to operate with a data stack or something that's absolutely impossible, because it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
Interesting. So let me back up here. So on LinkedIn, you're one of the people I think has some of the. Open the door again.
Enjoying LEAP.
Sorry, audience. That's what you get for live recording at a busy conference next to a garage door. But you're on LinkedIn a lot. I would say you have some of the spicier takes on stuff. If you can think of one, like what's your spiciest take on data or tech right now?
Spiciest. Well, I have. I won't say it's controversial, no, but for me, and we were speaking about that, is everything being qualified as AI. But I will go further on this.
But it's not all AI.
It's not about that, because what's the very definition of AI? We know the artificial part, no? But what's intelligence? Now, when we speak about AI, we speak about some paradigms that they rely on how we compare AI with human intelligence, all right? Which for me is wrong. For me, AI is being rooted on the very notion of computer science. So a calculator, an abacus, it's something intelligent, because, is a dog intelligent? Is a worm intelligent? You got me? I mean, we rely on a very monolithical paradigm about what intelligence is, for something that, by the way, we didn't decipher, all right? And what's the problem for me? It's not only that 80%, 90% of what we sell as AI is fake AI, or is vanilla statistics, or is something very pretentious, or even sometimes it's if-else conditions. It's about regulations that they are arising from AI. Because, for instance, the banks used to have risk models to determine whether a person is, qualifies to get a credit, a loan, mortgage, whatever. And even that we should never confuse correlation with causation for a risk model or a classification model, it doesn't matter. I mean, what matters is that, you, certain persona, certain segment, that has this, and this characteristic, won't qualify for a credit because I can prove to you that you are a risk individual. You got me? So, in a moment in which everything is being qualified as AI, we are trying to regulate that AI. What we are doing is regulating, decision systems. So it equals to give the government the power to say what's good and what's bad, and try to put censorship on this. So while it's not maybe my spiciest take on data, I think it's something really, really, really important. Not only because of this, and speaking about maybe civil rights, but it's about, in which places you will be able to develop now AI. I told you, first I was econometrician, now I'm AI specialist. That's a problem. If you have a company that's working on, doing something that makes decisions, and these decisions or the criteria you are following is not pleasing certain groups that they may touch the power, they may say, you cannot do this because it's against whatever. And this will make the difference, under my view, between Europe, which is highly regulated, even in a dumb way, because how you will censor? I mean, if I have a company and I have, I don't know, something that could be a real threat to the humankind, for instance, oh yes, maybe in Spain I cannot develop that. Maybe in France I cannot develop that. But I cross, a border. I go to Morocco. I go to, Central Africa. I go to any other country, and okay, goodbye. I can do it. And for me, this is a major discussion to help, because it will determine, which countries will have the leadership upon data, and which ones, they won't have. So, this is my take.
Interesting take.
I didn't mean to get, into way too political, okay? But sometimes
politics gets into it, though. It's an interesting one. And it's interesting. The other day I was having a breakfast with for the audience at LEAP, you get to meet a very bunch of interesting people. There's a lot of interesting people here. One guy I was having breakfast with, he is a AI safety researcher, and so he was. And breakfast took a dark tone, because he's like, basically we're all screwed. There's nothing you can do about this. It'll take over in about 5 years. We're all dead. And it's like, awesome. So what's your game plan? It's like, I don't have one.
Yeah, well.
It's like, okay, that's cool. Would you like more coffee? It was interesting, though, because the conversation was, so him and another gentleman were out there. They're planning a trip to some little tourist spot here. And this researcher was good dude, but he's also concerned about the price of the trip. And it was like, if you're going to die in like 5 years, why are you concerned about the price of a trip right now? Like, you should just go do whatever you want. I mean, what does it matter?
Of course.
So it crossed my mind a bit, but yeah, it's it is interesting. My take on AI is, it's one of these things where we're at a conference right now, and if you look around, a lot of companies. I'm looking at one right now with .ai in the URL.
Which one? Future?
I'm not going to give a vendor name, but see the sign over there. It says,
CM? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yellow?
.ai on it. But it's like every company's now an AI company, and they sort of transform into. It is like they're doing the same stuff. Kind of like when you had the job title, econometrician, and now you're an AI.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So yeah, it seems like it's a moving, it's sort of floating definition. I hear what you're saying, dude.
For me, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Also because it's devaluating the term itself. When everything becomes AI, now, and this is maybe a public claim on this, I don't know if it was your case, but for me, finding true professionals on this area, giving everything is AI, and now you can become AI specialist by doing a master's, which is actually a bootcamp of 1, 2, 3 months. Wow. I'm a struggle for that. I was looking for maybe someone, okay, you have some. It's not I'm equating having a degree to having the knowledge. Yeah? I'm economist, I feel, or I think I'm keen, on some topics that they traditionally belong to computer science. It's not about that. But believe me, now it's incredible. So it has an impact, okay? Because everything is AI is easy. It's like data science, when you are following recipes, you don't know what's under the hood. Did you remember the case of Zillow, the real estate?
Oh, that was a big one.
This is happening all the time. Sometimes, when we wonder about, okay, why the data strategy or why the strategy overall for this company failed, because actually, they weren't taking things seriously. And I think this is something that should be taken seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Either you are defining AI in a very naive way, either you are defining AI in a more sophisticated way. It's a very complex field. So I think we should be a little bit more honest. So when we say, okay, this is AI driven, look, at least, should be more sophisticated than what a human would do.
Let's hope so, man. But I've seen people even say like addition and basic arithmetic or AI, at which point I just can't throw up my hands and say, I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
But, the first time I saw, I wouldn't say the first time, but I think one time I got an email from a vendor saying, we use AI-powered forecasting, right? You come up with econometrics, you know what's up. And it's like, I looked at what they're doing, and I saw the curve, and I was like, that looks like either an ARIMA model or something super related to it.
Yeah.
As you know, it's not. If that's AI, it has the letters in ARIMA.
Yeah.
It has AI in it, so I guess.
Even forecasting that maybe is one of the most tricky topics. That you can than you can touch when you are working on statistics. But
it's tricky, and you're always wrong.
This is a reality.
You know what I mean? So forecasting is one of those things where it's
absolutely.
But then I think the issue is if you like you point out, if you're coming out of a not to disparage boot camps, but I think we are in these types of ways. I think it gives people a false sense of confidence. But it's like if you get a forecast result, you and I know not to take that as gospel truth. Some people are like, okay, that's the forecast. That's a number.
But this, speaking about forecasts, is like, I mean, what are you forecasting? This is like driving a car, looking at the rear mirror, no? If there is a curve, you will crash. That's another problem. I mean, how you are doing forecasting? Do you have any underlying model that justifying, what you are doing? This is a very tricky topic, no? Yesterday I seen, as well in LinkedIn, one guy is speaking about predicting the future.
Boy.
Like if I don't know, we had a crystal ball, or we were, I don't know, we are not futurologists, no? It's something weird. I think that's a problem, no? Selling things that they are maybe beyond something that's realistic. And on the other hand, okay, I think now it's incredible, no? I think everyone, freak out the very first time they tried ChatGPT, no?
Yeah.
For me, it was impressive, no? Oh,
it's still impressive.
How's that,
It's cool.
It's super cool, but I think we don't understand that we are miles away from semantic reasoner, from something that will make machines to actually reason, and that's the real challenge. In the very moment in which we'll solve, this is my take, is I won't say even it's an educated guess, but more a intuition. Because what's knowledge in the end? What's intelligence in the end? How you determine, ultimate predicate logic is very complicated. In that moment, I think we will solve many fundamental questions that they are linked not just with intelligence, but with philosophy in general, okay? Whether it is something instead of nothing, and it's like a little bit deep, but it is, at least, my point of view. The hypothesis of singularity, will we reach the stage in which we could create a machine that could improve itself, autonomously? We don't know. But the very point is that now, you don't have reasoners, you have black box models.
Yeah.
In the sense that, they are using transformers, they are using, deep learning techniques, and they could use a lot of parameters. I mean, it's crazy. No one, has the range to decipher them. And that's another problem. I mean, you don't have you don't know exactly, what's going on. So in one hand, it's like, it's arguable that you are having any results that they are remarkable, and in the other hand, you don't know what's going on. And this is truly scary. My take, of course.
It is, yeah. We're just getting started, so it should be fun to see how it goes. Cool, man. Fun chatting with you. For people who want to find out more about you, what you're up to, how they get a hold of you, how can they find you?
Sorry?
So for people who want to learn more about you and what you're up to, how can they find you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn and actually in any other network, because I don't like social media, so add me.
Okay, so LinkedIn, but
LinkedIn,
no other social network? Okay.
No.
Okay. I'm the same way. I got back onto Instagram because of Threads, and that's it. Yeah, but LinkedIn.
Yeah, so add me to Angel Narciso, spell like Angel Narciso.
Yeah. It's good chatting with you, man. Like I said, I've been seeing you a lot on LinkedIn. I think we always chat in the comments, but it's good to finally meet you in person at this massive conference. So I'm surprised we met at all. Like it's for the audience, even getting to this conference, I guess, is a bit of an adventure. So
indeed.
Yeah. We're trying to meet up yesterday, but he's like, I'm going to be in traffic for several hours. So.
Well, everything is new here, so I think it will take some time.
Take some time, but it's going to be good. I mean, I'm impressed by what they've been able to pull off here. It's a massive facility. Endless amounts of people here from all over the world.
No, but it is very good. No, a lot of things they are being brewed here. I think is fantastic. I have no doubts that maybe within 5 years we will see not just a new country, but as well, I know a lot of things that now they look super futuristic to be a reality.
Yeah.
Because really, this country, and I know from the very beginning, since I arrived to the country, is doing a lot of investment. Is taking this seriously. So, well, maybe next year, it's double the size.
It'll be interesting. Right on, man. Well, thanks. Chat soon.
Thank you very much.
Bye.